Everyone to this stakeholder dialogue session, Art as a Vehicle for Social Change, GBSN Beyond for 2021, day 2 rolls on. It's so good to have you with us. I want to point you immediately to the chat bar that lives alongside your streaming screen on Hub. Our speakers have posted 2 icebreaker questions and they'd love to get your immediate responses. Those questions being, which art form appeals or speaks to you the most? Secondly, in a word or two, if you have to say something about art for change, what would that word or 2 words be? We've posted those questions in the chat. Would be great if you could give your initial reactions to those 2. Which art form appeals or speaks to you the most? And in a word or 2, if you have to say something about art for change, what would that word be? That's where you can post your comments, your questions throughout the course of the session. And of course, you can let us know as well who you are and where you're from. But let's get stuck into the conversation. And I would like to introduce our speaker and certainly moderator for this session on art as a vehicle for social change. Dr. Divya Singhal is a professor and chairperson at the Center for Social Sensitivity and Action at the Goa Institute of Management in India. She holds a PhD in economics, FDMP from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and ITP from SEEBS. Divya was recently awarded by the United Nations Principles for Responsible Management for achievements in integrating the SDGs into business schools in 2020. That exemplifies 1 or more of the 6 principles of PRME. She has designed a unique course connecting music to management, which she's offering for the last 10 years at GIM. Applied aspects of the subject and learning-centric pedagogy are at the center of her teaching philosophy. She's passionate about teaching and research, sustainability and pluralism. And of course, we love her here at GBSN because she's so engaged, always so involved. Divya, so good to see you as always. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Rob. You're so kind. And namaste, everyone. Welcome to this session on Arts as a Vehicle for Social Change. I welcome my panelists, Katell, Okan, Fernanda, and Anushta from France, Turkey, Brazil, and India. I would introduce them in a moment. Meanwhile, I would request all our delegates attending GBSN Beyond to put in the chat the 2 questions which we have requested you. Thank you, Rob, for reminding all the delegates. And I can see a lot of responses are coming already. So it's my pleasure to welcome Katell Goulven, Founding Executive Director of the Hoffman Global Institute for Business and Society at INSEAD. Katell has more than 2 decades of professional experience at the interface of research and decision-making, designing policies and strategies. And I ask the same question to all my panelists. So photography and painting is the art form that appeals to Katell the most. And the 2 words which she has given me for art for change is diversity learning and engagement. So thank you, Katell. Welcome to this session. It's my pleasure to welcome Okan Pala, who is the co-director of Sustainability Platform at Okan University, Istanbul. Okan is involved in a bunch of different projects on different dimensions of sustainability. And when I asked him which art form appeals to him the most, he says creative installations. And his 2 words are imagine radically. Welcome, Okan. Fernanda Carreira, head of the Integrated Education Program at the Center for Sustainability Studies at FGP Brazil. Her areas of expertise are education for sustainability, transdisciplinarity, and organizational strategies. Dance is the art form that appeals to her the most. And the 2 words which she has given art for change is use it. Last but not the least, it's my pleasure to welcome Ms. Anushta, 2nd year PGDM student at the Goa Institute of Management, India. Anushta is a vocalist and lyricist of the official band of GIM, Oxygen. Needless to say that music is that art form that appeals to her the most, and her 2 words are hum along. Before I present the context, let me share that the idea of this kind of dialogue germinated during Network of Business Sustainability Conference early this year. And we hope that the discussion today would be able to spark new ideas, share perspective, and learn from each other. Let me start with a quote by Robert Motherwell, one of the founders of abstract expressionism in painting, who said, and I quote, art is much more than life, but what a poor life without it, unquote. Art not only plays a vital role in society as a source of joy, happiness, and awe, but it also plays a key role to provoke, engage, and incentivize people to change. Art is an expression that is powerful in cultivating empathy. And we all know really immersive artwork can shift perspective. People around the world are drawing lessons from various forms of arts. And I can see in the chat, the people are pouring their ideas about different forms. So some may relate to theater, some may relate to music, dance, or visual art, be it drawing, painting, murals, photography. But people are drawing lessons to teach leadership, communication skills, to create awareness about social issues, and most importantly, to instill empathy. What is so unique about art? The relatability of art as a medium makes it an even more powerful component of driving change and getting people to think and naturally choose to change over any other coercive medium. So without further delay, let's get started and invite our panelists to share their opening remarks, initial thoughts on art for social change. May I invite my panelists to share their opening remarks in 3 minutes on this part? And can we start with Anushka?
Oh, thank you everyone. Thank you, Divya, for such a great initiatives. Thank you, GBS. So yes, art is beautiful, and not just as an experience, but also as an expression, how it is perceived. Because art has its own language and hence a wider reach. It aids communication in a way that is far more effective than just a verbose article or a town hall. The power of art can be realized in various instances, but the one best example that comes to me is hip hop. It is the genre of music that is one such great epitome of revolutionary culture and art movement. People who were oppressed, who were crushed by capitalism, discrimination, and whatnot, they have written these masterpieces expressing their pain and their cry and what exactly is necessary to bring about change in the form of lyrics. And some great pieces are relatable till date, and we have such a beautiful art form. Just to illustrate it slightly more, I will read out a paragraph. So everybody is talking about badgism, racism, dragism, madism, and so many isms. Revolution, evolution, regulation, and integrations. You want a revolution? We all want to change the world, but the change must be brought about peacefully. When you talk about destruction, you can count me out. You got a real solution to the problem? It is great. I would like to see the plan. And then if you ask me to contribute, I am in. To sum up the changes that are needed, we need to ask a few rhetorical questions. How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just does not see? How many years must one man have before they can hear people's cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? This is just not any paragraph. These are the lyrics from 3 masterpieces, which is Give Peace a Chance and Imagine by John Lennon, and Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan. It has all sorts of emotions, mostly empathy and rhetoric. Songs, when sung or hum along, as I said, become a part of subconscious, and then it makes slight differences on individual level, and these slight differences, the slightest of differences, have the power to compound, and then we can move mountains. That's why I think art is a great medium or a vehicle for social change.
Thanks, Anushka. That's wonderful. And I personally believe that music is really powerful. Music does not merely act as music, but rather as a memorative sign. It evokes history, culture, values, memories outside itself. And especially in a society where the written word is inaccessible to the majority of the population due to maybe, lack of education, a vibrant and empowered social message through song is guaranteed wide appeal. So thank you for sharing those initial comments. May I invite Fernanda to share her opening comments, please?
Hi, hello everyone. Greetings from São Paulo, Brazil. I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you, Divya and GBNS for the invitation and for my colleagues. Well, first of all, it's important for me to disclaim that I'm not an artist. I have never studied arts in my adult life, just as a kid at the kindergarten. And I study business as my students at the business schools when I teach and where I research, and at the same business schools, in fact, as my students. And I'm not even good in helping my kids with their arts homework. But as a sustainability researcher, a teacher, and a practitioner, I understand that arts have a huge potential to educate management students to be responsible leaders and, most importantly, ethical human beings. And the way that I discovered this was through the adoption of transdisciplinarity as a practice and as an ontology in a way that I see management education. So I was educated in a very disciplinary teaching model, with a little practical exchange with reality. And when I went to work with sustainability, I realized that what I learned was not enough to deal with complex challenges of the sustainability agenda. And for at least a decade now, critics of management education in academia have been debating that the way that we are teaching our students has not allowed us to break away from business as usual and consequently deal with such wicked problems such as climate change, social inequalities, among other dilemmas that we are facing as humanity. But then I got in touch with the proposal of transdisciplinarity education, and transdisciplinarity invites us to break these boundaries of disciplines and open ourselves to other ways of learning and to legitimize pluralistic knowledge, such as the body, such as the culture of original and traditional peoples, and such arts. And so what I can share from my experience here is that art is a very powerful ally for driving social change because its main contribution is to touch the human being, to allow us to find meaning. And when we find meaning, when we let what we are learning pass through us as subjects, it's possible to transform reality. And art is definitely a vehicle in the search of meaning. So I will share later a little bit of this experience that we are having here for almost 10 years now. But it's very interesting to see this connection between art and social change. And it's becoming more and more legitimate in the field of management education, such as we are seeing in this panel. So this is my initial thoughts.
Thank you, Fernanda. And you are absolutely right that if we want to influence people, because change requires influencing people, we need to connect with people. And when we are connecting with people, we need a shared language. And I think art is that shared language. And you rightly pointed out beyond boundaries. May I invite, so thank you, Fernanda. May I invite Okan? Okan, what are your opening remarks?
Hello, everyone, and thanks, Divya, for the invitation, and thank you, GBSN, for bringing us together. I would also like to thank my teammates. We are working on these projects. There are 6 of us, all great people. I'm thankful to them. Some of them are also in the audience. I also have a disclaimer like Fernanda. I'm not an artist. I'm a good consumer of art, let me say, but I'm not an artist. What brought sustainability and art in Özyeğin University is one of the artworks, as you see behind me. It's called Bicycle. Actually, we have quite a large art collection comprising of 158 art pieces. Actually, what we observe is these artworks in the walls of the university is educating our students kind of implicitly. While you're waiting for an elevator, while you're going to class, while you're having a coffee, you stand in front of this. And then, you know, implicitly you start thinking, and what does it mean? And it facilitates discussion. Then we observe, we read, we learn that art not only reflects reality, but it also constructs reality by criticizing the society, by opening the discussion. These discussions make society more conducive to change. So art creates the environment that's conducive to change, that facilitates change. Then we were, as all of us have been reading, we've been reading about climate crisis, and the numbers have been there for 40, 50, or 100 years, and why there isn't any change, blah, blah. But then we realize that it's only numbers, right? Numbers speak to the mind. Numbers speak to the rationale, but then we observe what drives people to act, what facilitates the change in actual behavior is the feeling. Then we realized, we came across a very nice quotation from Daniel Kahneman, the economic Nobel laureate of 2001, and he's a decision maker and a psychologist. And he quotes that no one has ever made a decision because of a number. They need a story. And that's the Nobel laureate, right? Not me, don't quote me on that, but that's the Nobel Prize winning guy. So then we understood that they need a story. Then we once more turned back to art as a means to convey this story. For instance, this installation behind me is called Bicycle by Zekine Kundukan. So as you see, there's a bicycle here, and there is a boy or a girl, a child trying to reach, but that's on the painting. So bicycle is in our dimension, but the child is another dimension. So it's impossible for the child to reach the bicycle, right? Well, there is nothing stronger than, for instance, telling about poverty, SDG 1, than this installation in our sense. So that's what drives us to use art in every form of education, always including the management education as well. But this strength that art has put us in the way to connect sustainability and art. Let me stop there, and I'm going to tell in the second, let me say, the round, what we have been building on this. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Okan. That's really wonderful. I really like the way you put that art can also construct the reality. At this point, may I invite Katell? Katell, what are your opening thoughts?
Thank you, Divya, for bringing us together. I'm going to steal the disclaimer from Fernanda and Okan and add that I'm completely outside of my comfort zone. But if Divya invites you, you come. So I'm excited to be here. So I'm heading the Hoffman Institute at INSEAD, and this institute, the vision of this institute is a vision of business that contributes to societal progress, right? To social and environmental positive outcomes. And what's clear to promote that vision with leaders and managers of business is that it requires a change of mindset, right? It requires a change of mindset from seeing business as only a vehicle to generate profit to business as generating progress for people and for the planet. And it's also a vision that appeals to leaders, managers, and all of you too. It's a vision that appeals to our sense of shared humanity, right? We all on the same planet together, we struggle with this problem together, etc. So change of mindset and a sense of shared humanities are things that can be triggered by art, right? That's why I'm here, because I think that's even though I'm not an expert and I don't have any training on this, this is clear. So I think that goes without saying. And so this role of art for social change can be experienced at different levels. And I guess I'm interested to also see and learn how we can use it at different levels. At the personal level, in my career, I've experienced how on an individual, art can relieve stress, help deals with trauma, enhance self-esteem. I worked with UNICEF before joining INSEAD, and art was very much used in refugee camp for these purposes, right? So that's that's, let's say, the elementary version of art for social change, touching with the person. Then art can also be used at the community level for civic engagement. My colleague in my team, Isabelle Stark, who is trained as an art historian, so knows much more than me, shared with me some work by Richard Moss, a video artist, which I really strongly encourage you to go see. In his, in what he's done in Incoming, is basically using long-range thermal imaging camera that is typically used for surveillance and border control, right? And he uses that to really humanize migration. And he used it in particular during the 2015 European migrant crisis. And because it's capturing the heat and the working of human bodies, people, you cannot recognize people, but you can see their moves, you can see their humanities, their vital ways of working in their body, and that generates a vision and a perception of these people that is completely different that the one that is typically conveyed by the media, for instance, right? And at the global level, same thing. I thought, if that's okay, so I was in Glasgow last week, right, for COP, and I wanted to share this. I don't know if you see this. No, maybe not yet. I wanted to, oh, I have to press that, sorry. I wanted to share this picture of how art can be used at, the global level on international negotiations, right? So this is Simon Coffey. You've seen him probably because the video went viral, right? So he's to Valu's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and he delivered his speech at COP26 like that in the water, right? And basically his message was his verbal message, but it was also what he portrayed is like, this is making the intangible of climate effects tangible. And that's what it means for us in Tuvalu, right? Sea level rise. Anyway, so I just thought I should share that because that's an illustration at the international level of how you can also bring that common humanity, change this mindset for what we're trying to do and share here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Katell. That's really wonderful. And that reminded me John Myro's quote. I think you can look at a picture for a week and never think of it again. You can also look at a picture for a second and then think of it all your life. And I think, that's the power of expression through art. So thank you so much. And I think that's the wonderful segue for our next round, to know more about how art influences people and asking our panelists to share examples of how business schools can integrate art into their curricula to bring about change. Because now we understood art connects, art engages, art influences, art is a shared language, art talks about humanity. So how business schools are making an attempt. And Anushta, you represent the student community here on the panel. How do you think business schools can make their graduates aware of grand challenges through art forms? Anushta, over to you.
Yes, it is the biggest question that we have at hand for now. So business schools basically aim to make responsible managers. When I say responsible managers, I mean ones who know how to manage the achievement as well as maintenance of a balance among environment, society, and generating profits, because we need to. For this, the most important idea that would basically inculcate these habits or make these subconscious efforts into a student's mind would be inclusivity, equity, and equality. So incorporation of case studies that revolve around various art forms such as theater or circus, the art forms that are basically becoming extinct these days. It is very important. It will not only revive the art, it will also form the perception in the minds of students or the future managers that we have something that we have to grab onto. Incorporation of videos and audios in the classrooms to basically encourage the idea of creativity and innovation, because we have complex problems that require very creative solutions. So that is important. And talking about Goa Institute of Management, I'm a very, very proud student of this institute. We have tried to incorporate multiple facets of art to bring a change, and this campus is totally student driven. So all the initiatives that I'm going to list now are basically somehow an initiative from the students. So that just shows how exactly we have that zeal to bring about changes in the art. So first is definitely my band, official band of GIM, Oxygen. We composed a song that speaks to the hearts of people. The message was, it was a rhetorical song. The message was, how long will humans be ignorant of various social issues that are prevalent in the society? Then we have amazing courses such as management by lyrics, which Divya Singhal ma'am only teaches, and there are another courses as well in which students are encouraged to make sculptures and then interpret them in their own way. There are pottery workshops that enhances creativity. Then there is GIM choir, and the best part about music is you can reach out to the wider audience. Everybody likes music. There's nobody that does not like music. It can be any kind of music. So then there is my favorite, another favorite is RM. It is a theatrical club, and they perform Nukkad Natak. Nukkad Natak is basically a performance that used to happen as a source of entertainment on various junctions in the streets for the people. So it was a very efficient way to spread awareness. So we do that, and the best part about Nukkad Natak is usually is about very deeply rooted social evils such as poverty, female feticide, drug abuse, sexual orientation acceptance. So all these initiatives, along with the photography club, as Katell has already mentioned, Katell, amazing points mentioned by Katell, that one photograph can speak 1,000 words. You just have to capture that one moment. So that's what our photography club has been doing. There is an event called RM, which is based on the idea of inclusivity. We showcase our gratitude towards the extended staff of our college for their services. If they were not there, then we would have so many additional things to worry about, but they take a lot of load off our shoulders. Then there is a dedicated Center for Social Sensitivity and Action, GIM, that basically focus on sustainability goals. And they publish a quarterly newsletter. They publish a lot of podcasts, which are really fun to listen to. So these are just a few. There are many more to come, because there are so many art forms that you just cannot cover all of it. But it is just a start, and it is a beautiful start. You can incorporate as much as you want. And the idea that students are encouraged on this campus to be that enthusiastic about bringing about social change, that is beyond imagination for a few that do not have enough exposure to even just think that there are some changes that are required. So I think just the installation of idea of responsibility is most important. Then though that responsibility can be in any form, it doesn't have to be just academics.
Thank you, Anushka. That's really wonderful, because I am also from GIM, so I am really excited to know a student perspective. And Professor Padmanabhan's chat, I was reading in the just the comment in the chat. He is the one who uses theater in his organizational behavior classroom in GIM. So there is art everywhere, and art touches our hearts, be it music, poetry, painting, mural, and then it finds a way to change us from the inside out. So thank you, Anushka. Fernanda, FGV is integrating art into their sustainability course. May I request you to share that a decade-long story which you always wanted to share with us?
Yes, thank you, Divya. And it's amazing that Anusha said about courage. And I think it's a way, you know, as I said before, I'm not artist. My colleagues that run this course with me, they are not artists either, but we feel this is the way. So we try and we bring artists and we bring art in different ways. So as I said, we started running this sustainability course for in the undergraduate program for 10 years now. And it's anchored in transdisciplinarity that allow us to bring not only art, but other forms of knowing. And in this sense, art in our course is not brought in a disciplinary way, but it is brought as a lens to see the world, a catalyst for relationships, an access to self-knowledge, because as I said before, it's a way to find meaning and a way to promote social change, of course. So every semester in this course, the sustainability course, we change the issue that we will work with the students. But art is always transversal. It's always present in different ways, and not necessarily as a topic, but as a pedagogical practice. So I brought here a sequence of pictures to shed a little bit more in these uses of arts in our course. So now the goddess of technology will help me, and this will work. And I believe you're seeing, right? So this is a sequence of pictures to show that we don't specifically use one form of art in our course. On the contrary, we bring a diverse use of art because we believe that each person relates differently with different types of art. So we use painting, we use music, we use dance, we use theater, we bring pieces of art to the classroom. So we use in a mixed way. But here, I'll share with you, our first and main use of art is to enable self-knowledge and to mobilize affections between the group of students. So this picture is an activity that we do every semester that the students can use painting or sculptures to express themselves, their feelings, and in the moment of the course that we do this activity. And from their arts, we open a dialogue on how they are feeling in that moment, how they are expressing themselves, and the group of paintings and sculptures also express the group feeling as a subject, the group as a subject. And it's a very powerful activity to run with the students. Then we have also art as a way to deliver a project. So one semester, they had to produce an art exhibition on the adaptation of Brazilian agriculture to climate change. So in that semester, we took them to museums, we brought artists for the classroom, we planned the exhibition, and the goddess didn't help me, but that's okay. So we brought artists to the classroom, we took them to the museums, but they also had to produce their own arts exhibition and to invite professional artists to put their art pieces in this exhibition, and they have to deliver it as a way to deliver the semester final project together. So these are some examples of transdisciplinarity use of arts, and there is also the impact that I would like to share. There are many, but I choose two to illustrate. One is one that I love, is that students, we give the students the space to experiment. And we discovered that many of our students were already artists, or they discover a hidden talent that they have, or after the course, they started to develop something that they loved in art. So it's amazing to see, and we just gave them the space to experiment, just the space, you know. And we find that after the semesters end, some of them became musicians, others are photographers and they are selling their work, others paint, others dance, and they just need this space to try, you know. And even if they don't follow an artistic career, they go to work for companies, for NGOs, or for other type of organizations. And they tell us that they still use art to understand reality, to build stronger team relationships, to drive social change in their works. So it's amazing.
Thank you, Fernanda. And you know, I wish we should have been given 2 hours to discuss, because we have so much to discuss. So, Katell, at this point, I would invite you to share what your center has done. Katell, over to you.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Anushka and Fernanda. I think it's fascinating. I'm so happy I'm here to listen to this progress. Very inspiring, and hoping to borrow some of it. More modestly for us, we experimented a few weeks ago, still on the topic of climate change, with a particular exhibition as part of our SDG week. And that exhibition was focusing on trying to display and use objects from first peoples. And here again, let me share just a few illustrations to illustrate human adaptability to climate change, right? Through objects from first people coming from the Sahara. And through the illustration of how these objects exemplified their possibility for adaptation in the Sahara. And here, that was motivated, so it was driven not just by us, but also by a professor of decision-making science. And we used the Alan Baker Foundation, a collection of arts, and he curated a specific exhibition for our SDG week. Again, it was an experiment, and the idea was the following, still thinking about the need for change of mindset and the need for connecting to our humanity. The idea was to say that, okay, climate change typically is very science-based, and rightly so. It's a lot about sciences. Climate change facts are also, very intense and tend to make you feel a little bit like hopeless or useless in terms of what can I do. We also tend to look at graphs and projection towards the future in terms of what could happen. So through the exhibition, we wanted to create a space where we would pause and think about that a little bit differently, looking back and not just forward in terms of what others have done, trying to find emotions and not just scientific approach to the problem, and finally maybe bringing hope by looking at how others may have adjusted, right? And so this is again by providing objects that people could see, could touch, with stories about what that displayed in terms of how they've adjusted in our context and how it worked. That's what was meant to do. Because again, the idea with climate change is that we still need a lot of creativity, a lot of new ideas, right? So this is why we need to bring different forms of learning that can open up for other and different kind of solutions. And let me, because I know we're super short on time, just show this one thing, right? These are arrows that are made 100% by wood and used by the pygmy to hunt for a small sign game. The pygmy used these arrows, they are 1 gram each only, okay? And basically they were used by them for small game hunting because they were not loading them much so that they could track the game for a long time. They used these while iron arrows already existed, and it was a conscious decision of using the wooden one so that they would really choose and decide what game to use which tool for. The results of that, it's a long story, complex, I'm not the expert, but the results of that is basically that while most of the edible fauna in Central Africa has completely disappeared, from elephants to rats, basically. Because of that choice of different tools by these particular civilization, the pygmy area in Central Africa is still very rich on large game and different kind of animals. And so what I really liked about that story is that even though there was a much more advanced technology, the iron arrow, they chose something that was more adapted and maybe less advanced. And that made me think of, the role of, having the latest technology to constantly address the problems that we have. What that's teaching us is that, you need to rethink our relationship to technology, to nature, for instance, when you hear these stories. And I think that this is also what we need. It's not to say that they were better, but it's just to think about different ways of doing things that may really completely transform the way we can conceive our relationship to technology and to nature when thinking about climate adaptation. Right, so it's a quick examples. Obviously, there is much more. It's on the site, but I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katell, and that's really interesting to see that how the interactive exhibition on indigenous art has explored that what we can learn, for sustainability. Thank you. Okan, you have really short time to share about the art collection your university has.
Yeah, based on the art collection, I'm going to be very quick. Based on the art collection, we created a project, right? The project is called Co-Art and Co-Act because it uses art to facilitate collective action towards attaining the SDGs. It has 3 phases. The exhibition, based on these art, we're going to have talks and we're going to have workshops. This is actually, you can remember this from my back. So for every SDG, we have an art piece, and we dub this whole project as a sign of SDG 17. So we're working together to form this project. So the whole project is SDG 17. And this is the center of our university, and this is going to be the exhibition place. And this is what the exhibition is going to look like. So you enter the exhibition. Here you have the video work of SDG 13, climate action. You turn to your left, there is SDG 17, and you go through inside and see all the other art pieces on other SDGs, thinking about climate action and SDG 17 working together. Then you end up here, and this is the place that we facilitate the action. So there are SDGs and the NGOs or intergovernmental organizations, their business cards, whatever we have. And then we're going to ask if you are keen on, say, working on poverty, go and work on poverty, do something. There is this NGO, right? Then we're going to have talks here, and then we're going to have workshops. The workshops, the students are going to create real art pieces with professional artists to internalize the SDGs. The essence of this project, we hope it to bring forth art in the university by saying people that, okay, folks, professors within the university, you can use art in every aspect of education. Here we did it on sustainability. You can please use this art collection. And we hope this evolves to, let me say, an innovative sustainability course in the future. Was that fast enough, Divya?
Thank you, Okan. Co-Art, Co-Act project. Thank you so much. And how the art is employed as a tool that facilitates and accelerates action towards sustainable development goals. Thank you so much. We are running out of time, but I would invite Katell, what is your one word which if you have to summarize or you have to give as a message, 1 or 2 words?
So I think that art can help us bring different perspectives, think of the unthinkable, and envision new possibilities to address a lot of the problems we have today.
Thank you. Thinking unthinkable. Fernanda.
For me, it's a way to connecting differently with each other and with ourselves. So
thank you. Connections. Thank you so much. Okan.
I think it's great that art facilitates imagination, because we think, for instance, climate change is in the distant future, but art brings future right here by imagining radically.
Thank you. And, various art forms provide powerful opportunities to express our common humanity, challenge our assumptions, trigger conversation, raise consciousness, engage us, inspire us, provide us imaginary wings. May I invite Anushta to close this session with a few lines of a song. Anushta.
Sure, thank you. So this is a song to spread awareness about female feticide. It's in Hindi. It's called Ori Churaiya. So it goes like, Ori Churaiya, Nanhi se chidiya, Angna mein phir aaja re, Andhiyara hai ghana, और लहू से सना, किरणों के तिनके अंबर से चुनके अंगना में फिर आजा रे, हमने तुझ पे हजारों सितम किए, हमने तुझ पे जहां भर के जुल्म किए, हमने सोचा है तू जोड़ जाएगी ये ज़मीं तेरे बिन सूनी रह जाएगी, किसके दम पे सजेगा मेरा अंगना, ओरी चिरैया एवी चिरैया अंगना में फिर आजा रे. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to my esteemed panelists for such a wonderful conversation. And I think any art form provides participants, those who are engaging, an opportunity to reflect upon their capacities and their views about the world, and that is really important. So thank you once again. Thank you, GBSN, for this wonderful platform. Thank you, Fernanda, Katell, Okan, and Anushta. Thank you so much, and hope we all engage in some of the other art form. Thank you so much.